Chapter 7, Selecting and Financing Housing. There's 4 objectives we will cover in this chapter. First, the costs and benefits of renting, the home buying process, costs associated with purchasing a home, and strategy for selling a home. Your lifestyle and your choice of housing. Buying a home will probably be the most important purchasing decision you will ever make. So these guidelines are important guidelines to remember. Spend no more than 25 to 30% of take-home pay on housing, or no more than 2.5 times your annual income. Here are some critical considerations when making the home buying decision. Your choice should be based on lifestyle, financial factors, mobile versus permanence. Renting equals less costly in the short run, and home ownership is a long-term financial advantage. There are obvious differences between renting and buying. Rental activities. Please consider these when making the decision to rent. Selecting a rental unit, advantages of renting and disadvantages of renting. Here is a flow chart identifying house rental activities. And here's a very important checklist that you should pay attention to when selecting an apartment to rent. And here are some legal details. So a lease is a legal document that defines the conditions of a rental agreement. All of this identifying info should be included in your lease. And then the cost of renting. You'll have to pay a security deposit. You'll have to pay for utilities not included in the rent payment, and also renter's insurance. And here's a flow chart identifying home buying activities. What exactly do you need in a purchased home? You're going to have to really dial down and figure out exactly what's important to you with a purchased home before making this decision. Do you want a home, a single dwelling home, or do you want a duplex, a townhome? Maybe a condo makes sense for you. Or cooperative housing, or a manufactured home, so a prefabricated home that's made away from your property and moved to your property. Or also you could buy a mobile home. Or a lot of people are deciding to build a home. So maybe you want to build a home. Please be aware of all of these listed considerations. You have to determine what you can afford. You get what you pay for or can afford. Pre-qualification is so critical. Before looking for a home, you should get pre-qualified through your bank or financial institution, so you don't get your heart on set on something that you're not going to qualify for. Sometimes people want to buy a handyman special at a lower price, or a fixer-upper if you have that time, skills, and money to fix it up. Step 2, find and evaluate a home. Location is so important. It's the only attribute that cannot be changed. Do you want to live in the country, city, suburbs? So all of these things are important to decide before you start looking for a home. And then you should hire a real estate agent. And then also, once you do find a home that you want to buy, make sure you get a home inspection. Always get an inspection first. It's a list of any needed home repairs. So conducting a home inspection, all of these things should be checked out in the home inspection. And like I said, you'll have a comprehensive list of any things that need to be fixed in the home. And then price the property. Determine the home price. Price affected by selling prices in the area. Current demand for housing. Time home has been on the market. Owners need to sell. Financing options. Features and conditions of the home. And then a purchase agreement is your legal offer to purchase the home. You always want to negotiate the purchase price. Once you make an offer, there's usually going to be a counter offer. You'll also want to consider any kind of contingencies. You may make an offer as long and have a contingency of they need to put on a new roof first or something along those lines. And then you need to finalize obtaining your financing. You need to determine the down payment. Usually people put down about 20% of the cost of the house down as a down payment. And then the mortgage. So a mortgage is a long-term loan on a specific piece of property. Your payment considers years, interest, and down payment. Qualifying for a mortgage includes, they're going to look at your income, your debts, your credit history. You have to have a credit score of 620 or more to buy a home. The down payment amount, the length of the loan, current mortgage rates. We're not going to consider points. And then the loan for which you qualify will be greater when rates are lower. So the interest rates will be figured into your loan price. And then there's lots of different types of mortgages. There's fixed rate mortgages. There's government guaranteed financing programs. And here are the mortgage payment factors. And this will, this slide here will come in handy when you're doing your homework. And at the next slide, I can show you. So right here where it says monthly payment equals 223 times 665. So if we're talking about a 30-year loan at 7% and $223,000 home, we take the 223, drop the 1,000, and then we times it by the mortgage payment factors, which was in the preceding slide. And you get that factor number by knowing how many years your loan is and the term rate. So in this case, your mortgage payment factor would be 665. You would multiply that by 223, and you would find out that your loan would be $1,482.95 a month. We're going to move on from there. Okay, so there's other types of mortgages. There's adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM loan. There's interest-only mortgage, a buy-down, a second mortgage. Reverse mortgages, refinancing. You can also make extra payments to pay your loan or your mortgage off early. And then you close the purchase transaction. You make arrangements for a walkthrough, last minute items for negotiation. Maybe there's some patches on the walls that need to be filled, or maybe there's a room that still needs to be painted. You can use that information for a negotiation. And then there's a closing. Always there's closing costs figured into your mortgage, also known as settlement costs. Those closing costs can include all of these things and usually add up to several thousands of dollars. Closing cost components, these are just also included in the closing costs. So moving on to home selling strategy. So selling a home is also a large task, but is just as exciting. So in order to prepare your home for selling, you need to do all of these things. And then determine the selling price. Sometimes people want to sell by owner. It's cheaper to sell that way, but it usually takes much longer. If you're listing with a real estate agent, it's of course more expensive, but it's more efficient, usually gets the job done much quicker. Thank you.